Ride the tiger time. Yeah, okay, so, ride the tiger. Listen to your body and remember the form and that the components of this one are paramount, way more than the seductive lure of how far down can I get? Like, I mean, it's just, it's the tale as old as time with Tai Chi. It's like, I gotta go low. Well, you can't go low if you can't do it correctly high, okay? So I'm gonna do, I hit the tiger here, and I'm gonna ride the tiger, and I'm gonna talk about what I'm trying to facilitate for myself and remind myself of as I step out. Because again, on this one, it's real easy to just like go on autopilot, step, 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 to the front, step, 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 step back. But it's beneficial to really think before you ooch yourself out each step to check in to see if all the pieces that you want to be there are still there. So, with that in mind, and then we'll of course read the book too, but so here I am. First thing I'm thinking of, lowering my shoulders, head suspended, crouching enough to get my tuck. If I'm too high up there, I can't get my tuck. So I have to crouch enough to feel that tuck engage. Now, I'm going to try to keep this from here up as still as I can. Like, I'm not going to let my back sway or curve back out. I'm going to stay here. I'm also going to try to keep my feet in this 45-degree alignment. It will naturally start to shift out a little bit, but I'm going to try to tell myself not to do that. So, here I am. Okay, so then I do a check-in. Have I kept all that stuff? Yes. Yes. And then from right here, this knee naturally wants to come in. So I'm telling this knee out, I'm telling that knee out. Trying not to bend over, trying to keep my tuck. I'm starting to feel it here for me, because my hips are tight, in that crease. Okay, that's probably about as far as I've got today, because I start to feel myself, because my hips are tight, folding forward. So from here, I still have my tuck. I'm sinking down equally. Notice I'm not here, and I'm not here. I'm here. Round it out, turning towards the front, and sinking. Now, if you like, I feel okay in here. You can kind of do a walk around to see any observations you may or may not have.
So how much do you turn your shoulders to?
Well, about like this. Because if I turn any more, I'm going to lose my tuck.
Okay, so no rotation on top too much.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because here I feel a twist in my back, so I want to still keep my chest concave. So about here, I mean, I am turned.
Yes,
Like,
a bit.
I'm not here.
Right. But it's not as far as I was going.
Yeah, I was trying to do.
Pushing the envelope.
Oh.
Well, but notice you lose your tuck if you
Yeah.
do that. So
Okay.
one of the things that hopefully you saw, and I didn't emphasize it, but there's sort of an S shape that happens with the legs.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I get out here, this one's out, this one's out. There's sort of this, you know, it's not a horse stance that's really low, and it's not a bow stance or lunge. It's I'm rounding out, sinking down, and it's subtle, but there's a little bit of an S here. Common things that happen, like we talked about here. If I do this, sure, I can turn all the way to the front, but again, I've lost my tuck. I can also do this, and I'm in some weird kung fu kind of back stance thing. All of which, if I'm here or if I'm here, I feel it all on my thighs, which yes, of course I feel it on my thighs. But remember, we're going for this hip crease flexibility here. Where I do not feel anything, I feel nothing in my low back. I feel nothing in my shoulders. It's all through here. Does that make sense? So, as I come out of that, I feel like this part, the joint has been activated, but I'm really not even that, like it's not like embracing horse pain or fatigue in the thighs. It's a different kind of output, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so give a couple tries on your own. And I'm going to read through the book here and see what the greatest tips are. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Lewis, yeah. Yes, Mr. Watkins.
So I don't wanna do this. Or do I?
What I would say is keeping this intact, turn towards the front as much as you're able to keep this intact and not start to feel a pinch.
Is it intact?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I was trying to go further.
And you know, you may see if people are more flexible, some people are able to do that, provided they're not losing the tuck, you know, doing those other things. So they may be this far off the ground, but they may not have all the pieces. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's a good point, like, yeah, no.
Equal.
Yes, and so that's another one of like your guardrails. So if you find that you've stretched out your leg so much that you can't continue, obviously the knee isn't gonna be able to stay as rounded out as you step farther out. But if you really feel like I cannot keep that, I can't tell that knee to stay out and it wants to collapse and you've stepped out a little too far for where you are right then. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't mean like, of course, I can't keep this out as far, but I can keep telling it, and I can kind of feel that connection. And then I'm gonna reach a point where I can't keep telling it, and that's probably my limit for that day. Let's see. See, his a little different. He's in cotton shoes and on slippery floor. He slides out. We don't do that to you. He just like, you know, that's a whole different set of groin muscles. But he says stretch the legs as far as possible and hold the final position for about 8 seconds. The feet will no longer be exactly parallel, but the toes should be pointed inward as much as possible with both knees bent and the feet flat. The purpose is not to go as low as possible, but to hold your lowest position while maintaining the key details: a relaxed body with tucked in pelvis, bent knees, feet flat on the ground, and the weight on the heels and outside edges of the feet. Return to the starting position by drawing up the foot a few inches at a time. This posture can be repeated 1 or 2 more times, alternating with right the type of right and left.
How long should we hold it?
About 8 seconds. Obviously, sometimes in class we may hold it a little longer if someone's coming around trying to make corrections, but about 8 to 10 seconds, and then pushing off incrementally. Yep. So try a few, and I'll see if I can make any. Of course, you guys look pretty good. I don't have a whole lot of corrections. So this will help a little bit with the angle. So as he steps out, the feet should be flat on the ground, and there should be slightly more weight on the left foot. That's when he's stepping out, obviously. The tucked in pelvis should face the same 45-degree direction as the left foot, your back foot, basically, while the torso should twist a bit more to the left. So I guess you do, okay, left foot forward, a little bit more on the left. And then he turns, but he's not doing this. Yes, good. Good. Are you able to tell that knee stay out? Okay, good, good. Yes, very good. Good. The
8
farther.
to 10 seconds is about it.
Well, it should be, yeah. I mean, think of it that way. If Grandmaster C.K. Chu says 8 seconds is plenty, like, it's plenty, right? Because, you know, he could hold that longer if he wanted to, but you don't need to. It's plenty. As you get more flexible with this and more comfortable, as your feet are able to stretch a little wider, they naturally are going to turn out a little bit. So as you get more proficient at this and you get longer in your stance, don't beat yourself up to try to get your toes in. But what we're not trying to do is what happens a lot with beginners is this. They have this foot's all the way out and this foot's all the way forward. I've lost a lot of my connection already, whereas if I do this, I'm engaged through here. So that's what he's trying to counteract is back foot goes way out, front foot automatically goes straight forward. Make sense? Any questions? Did you pick up anything different than
Oh, yeah.
when we started?
Yeah. I was trying to twist too much.
Huh.
I want to rotate my hips.
You
Yeah.
skilled the last 2.5 years.
You know, he said it's just, the last 2.5 years, but that's not true. You know that's not true, right?
Yeah, I know, it's just the minor corrections you always do, it shows me a whole different aspect of what I've been doing wrong.
Well, that's good.
So in case you didn't hear that, he says every time I make a minor correction or a little tweak, it's like it changes everything that he thought was going on in the last 2.5 years that he's been doing wrong. But you haven't been doing it wrong, because you can only understand what you're able to understand. And so with more proficiency and more experience, you're able to and understand something at a different level. So it's all good. If you haven't been doing it wrong, you now can add a different layer of understanding to it. So I'm a big fan of, don't beat yourself up. Everyone's exactly where they are. I've been doing this for 10 years and I had a black belt from another discipline. So I've been a martial artist most of my life. And if I see a form more than once, I'm always going to pick up something and go, oh, I didn't think about it that way. So that's just part of the process. So think of it as sweet. I understand it differently than, crap, I've been doing it wrong all this time. Like try to kind of turn it in your own favor. Because it's a sign of progress that you're able to understand that new layer. Yeah, looks good. Yes. Yes. Well done. All right, with that, let's go ahead and bow out. Let's do our life skills. Snake. Path of self-mastery requires persistent action. Persistent action achieves the goal without quitting. Path of self-mastery requires persistent action. Persistent action achieves the goal without quitting. Path of self-mastery requires persistent action. Persistent action achieves the goal without quitting.